Hello, everyone. This is Jim Okersinski with a hopefully short instructional video following up on the critical thinking essay assignment. So I'd like to begin with the instructions. Instructions are critical. I ask for, once again, 2 short summaries, one for each article capturing the main points. I'm not looking for an introduction. No introduction was required or wanted, and everybody did a really good job with that. But after your opening summaries, respond to both articles and their arguments. And that was critical to engage with the actual arguments of the authors. So most essays began with a summary. Okay. And I said a short summary, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. I say to review your reading notes and discussion board posts for ideas and how you responded to those posts. A few people, kind of copy and pasted from the discussion boards, which really wasn't a really good outcome for the assignment. So I want to be clear because it just didn't integrate. And then I say here, support your critical thinking with evidence from the information provided from the article. So I'm asking you to use Twangy and Lukianoff and Height's articles to support your critical thinking, your response portion. All right. No outside sources were required. I really didn't require a works cited page. People supplied a works cited page. I might have commented and said, one was not needed. When you're dealing with 2 source articles like that, you usually don't need a works cited page. Okay. And the critical thinking essay should follow MLA guidelines as stated in the syllabus. And this was 1,000-word minimum assignment. So I think it's critical. Some people might have uploaded 700 words. Some people might have been in that 800-word category. If you were, about 200 words or more short, you probably didn't grade too well on this activity. I think the important conversation in this subject matter really required the 1,000-word minimum, and it kind of sets the stage for some of the extended work we'll be doing throughout the semester. So for the MLA guidelines, I'm going to show you Nicole Ramirez's paper from my section, I think it's 319. This is how we set up an MLA document. Name, my name, here's the assignment, or you could use COM 102, the date. Always top right. Last name, page numbers, and a title. Right, here's a good one, the coddling of iGen, combining the 2. All right, so that is how we go about to set up a document. And some people have wild variations of MLA headings and formatting, but the guidelines are stated in the syllabus. If you have any questions about that, then you're going to want to check in the back of the textbook, because there is an appendix there about MLA guidelines. Ballinger lays it out in the textbook. I'm going to jump ahead to some of the writing tendencies that I saw. All the essays need an original title, right? Is what I said in my lecture video. There's no bolding or underlining. You use the same size font. It's pretty much MLA guidelines. I, once again, ask for no introduction. Now, here we have a short summary of each article, and in the lecture video, I mentioned 6 to 8 sentences max. Introduce the authors, but not their whole qualifications. Some people did a really good job, like Dr. Jean Twangy, a psychologist at San Diego State, was short and to the point. Some people did a great job in writing the summaries. A few students maybe perhaps went on a little too long with the summary, like well into the second page. The purpose was to engage with the articles and provide your critical thinking in the response portion. Once again, and the discussion board where we reviewed the art of summarizing, summarizing is in your own words. Capture the main points. A lot of people chose to use quotes in a summary, and we do not use quotes in summary. And this is important. Your annotated bibliography down the road will ask you to summarize the contents of an article, and I'm looking for no quotes in a summary. That's not the way you write summary, right? So when you refer to authors, you want to refer to them by their full name. And then after that, you will refer to them by the last name only. So Jean Twangy then becomes Twangy States. Always engage with the authors, not articles or quotes. I get a lot of phrases like "this article states" or "what this quote means." The object here in COM 102 is for us to engage with the authors directly. It's much more efficient to have an academic conversation when you're engaging with the author, with the person, as opposed to an article or telling what a quote means. That's just old language, right? We want to engage with the authors. This is important moving forward. And we always use the present tense. Jean Twenge states, Jean Twenge asserts. It's not asserted, not the past tense. We always use present tense when we're referring to authors and their quotes or paraphrases in academic writing. So remember, check the MLA section in the back of the book, the appendix there, but article titles are in quotation marks. So if you're using articles in the future to support your arguments and your research essays, article titles always go in quotation marks. Italics are saved for major works like books, publications, movies, but all others for sources of information, internet articles, they all, their titles are enclosed in quotation marks, okay? So I asked everybody to respond to the arguments made in each article. Use the author words to support your response and use quotes sparingly. So I was really looking for many people to use some, at least good 2 or 3 quotes, maybe a couple of quotes from each article to respond to your particular argument there in the response portion. And I said here, do not respond by writing about you or your friend's cell phone experience. This is drifting from the task to the self. All right. Quite a few people who maybe wrote really short summaries when in the response portion talk more about the article, like a little mini summary in the response. Balance is critical. Maybe a little bit more in your summary to open the essay would, basically force you to respond and not say more about the article, in essence, summarizing in the response portion. I might have marked and commented that on your in your essay draft. Also, you want to point out that a lot of people just drifted away from the authors in the argument and talked about them or their friends or their cell phone usage. That's not the point of the essay. The point of the essay was and the purpose of the essay was for you to engage with the words of others. So it was really critical that you stayed on task. All right. You needed some sort of a wrap up in the essay. I understand. I didn't specifically ask for a conclusion. Some students emailed me, but every piece of writing needs some sort of wrap up. I shouldn't have to stipulate that. All right. And following the instructions was part of the assessment. The summary, some were too brief, and if they were too brief or didn't contain enough sufficient information, then there was the tendency to be some summary in the response portion. Some were too long, as I mentioned. It was, everybody had to develop a critical response. Transitions were basically an issue for a lot of essays I want to touch on. Moving from one article to the other, you have to start looking at some transitional phrases. As we move through, they are somewhere in the textbook. I believe it might be in chapter 3 or chapter 4. Ballinger's got pages in there with some transitions. You can look it up in the index and look at some of his transitions there that he has to move from one topic to the next. Generally, everybody had a pretty professional presentation, and I've already covered the MLA guidelines. So a lot of the items I mentioned here are really critical in understanding how to go about working with the words of others and writing an academic essay, especially carrying it to the annotated bibliography and the research essay is critical. All right. All right. So that's it for this instructional video. If you care to revise yours, if you got like somewhere around about an 85 or 86, it might be worth your while to revise based upon my comments. If for some reason you anything above that, it might not be worth your time. It might be better for you to move on toward looking toward developing a research topic. Email me if you have any questions. Good luck.